I said, I'm not a Muslim, and my name and that word will never be connected. Brought the most shame to our family than anything. What have you done? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm Harun, the American Muslim revert. I'm 43 years old. I live in South Mississippi. I have a farm. I'm a farmer. I've been a Muslim since 1998, 99, somewhere right around there. I lived in Saudi Arabia, moved there when I was 20. I lived there for 10 years. After that, I moved back to the United States, where I live now.
What was the thing that made you question your beliefs?
So I was a Southern Baptist Christian. I studied the Bible. I was a youth minister. I was a missionary. That's how it pretty much led me to here.
How did you first hear about Islam?
I was in high school and I learned about, they taught us all the different religions, Hinduism, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Of course, it was slanted. The people that were teaching it were all Southern Baptists like me, which they were not going to give the whole truth. But thank God that the test that we had, it gave the 5 pillars of Islam. It told us that Muhammad, peace be upon him, was the prophet. Of course, when it was taught to me, it was like, well, this is what they believe. And that was from when Abraham left Ishmael in the desert. Isaac was the one that was to carry the prophethood. That was the way it was explained. But they did give a good picture of Islam. There was nothing mentioned that would damage the religion. It was just saying, well, that's for them and this is for us.
What was the thing that made you question your beliefs?
So reading the Bible in the New Testament, studying Jesus, peace be upon him, with the Christian belief that Jesus was God and he was also the Son of God, that's what took me away, because he never said, I'm your God, pray to me. It came later on with the Apostle Paul or Saul. And also in the book of Matthew, there's a place where he was with 3 of the, we'll say Sahaba, he was with the 3 of the apostles, and he was going into a garden where he told these 3, he says, wait here, because if they find me, they'll kill me. That was a very human trait. That's something that if a God was saying something like that, it would be like, I don't care what you do, I'm going to go here, I'm not worried. So at least that was the thing that I knew was true. And then I prayed to God alone. And that was the, I say, evolution of how I became Muslim.
Can you tell us about your journey from Christianity to Islam?
I'll tell you the story how it happened. I had to have been 19, probably right around 20. I was driving to church. I was going to teach my youth ministry, which they were from 15 to 18. I was at war with myself. Like, I needed God. I needed him in my life. I needed the right path to God. I was sitting there. I had my Wrigley's spearmint chewing gum in my mouth. I said, okay, God, please show me the way. Show me this path that you want me to be in. Show me the truth. I need it now. Please, God, please give it to me. And it just in my mind, I said, you know what? I'm going to take this gum and I'm not going to look and I'm going to throw it. And I said, if it goes out that window, then I'm no longer going to believe in Jesus as God and I'm just going to pray to God. So I threw that piece of chewing gum and then I turned my head and I looked down. I pulled over on the side of the highway. I got out. I walked around the truck. I opened the door. I searched high. I searched low. The gum was gone. Got back in the truck and I passed right by the church. So after this event had taken place, I met someone that I knew when I was in college studying. He's from Saudi Arabia. His name's Ali Al-Ghamdi. We had met up. He asked me, he says, what's your religion? And I told him, I said, I'm without religion. He says, what do you mean? What's this? There's no such thing as without religion. What do you believe? I said, well, I pray to God. And he says, okay. He said, so are you a Christian? I said, no, I'm not a Christian. He said, well, what do you think Jesus, peace be upon him, is? I said, he's a prophet. He's a man just like me and you. He says, so he's not the Son of God? And I said, no, he's a man. He's a prophet. He delivered a word and he delivered a message, and I believe what he said was true. And he said, okay. He says, well, what do you think about the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him? And I said, well, he says, do you think he's a prophet? I said, yeah, I do. I said, I think he's a prophet. He had a word also, but I don't believe that was for me. I believe that it was for a different group of people. And he looked at me and he stuck his finger in my face and he says, you're a Muslim, man. And then I returned the finger and I said, no. I said, I'm not a Muslim. And my name and that word will never be connected. So that day, there was something inside me. It was like a dot. There was some type of dot that had been put in my heart. One day I'd come home from work and I was, just following my normal routine, come home from work, take off my shoes and everything, get comfortable, and sat down at my computer. What is Islam? Give the 5 pillars of Islam. When I read them, for some reason, I read La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, and I said, I believe that. And then I read, make Hajj, to fast, to pay zakat, to pray. every pillar that I read, it was like something had opened. I can't explain it. It was like if my heart was being painted or a light was opening inside me. Then once I had finished reading all the 5 pillars, I knew that I couldn't go any other direction. That was the only direction that I could go. And there was a link. It said how to be Muslim. So I clicked that link and there was a small PDF that opened up. I'm holding this piece of paper and then I went to the bathroom. I took my Shahada in a bathroom. I washed myself in the bathroom and then from that point I started praying.
And your family? How was their reaction?
So one day I was praying and I forgot to lock the door. The door opens and Ali, he comes in, he says, "Oh, hey," what are you doing? And I'm standing in prayer. He walks away and then I finished prayer and I quietly, I kind of tiptoed in the living room there and he's sitting on the couch. He says, "Are you making fun of me?" He says, "You're making fun of my religion?" And I sat down beside him and I sat there and I said, "Ali," I said, "I have something I need to tell you." And I said, I'm Muslim. I took my Shahada. And subhanAllah, this guy, it's like he took his Shahada that day. We weren't on the best of paths, you know, in those days. We did things we weren't supposed to. And that day was when this group of all of the Saudi Shabab, it was like they become Muslim. They wanted to be good because they saw me and they wanted to be good examples. At that time, Ali, he says, "Well, we have to go to the mosque. Have you been to the mosque?" I said, "No, I don't know. I don't know anything about the mosque." He says, "So we have to go to the mosque." So that Friday, that Jummah, was a homecoming. I was hugged and kissed and picked up and, you know, shown off and taken to this one and taken to that one, invited for dinners for days. I probably didn't spend money after that for 2 months because they all wanted me to eat in their home. So my grandfather had had a heart attack. He was in the hospital and I had driven back from Pensacola, Florida, where I was living, to be there with him. In the hospitals, we have a waiting room, and there's a telephone there, and there's always someone sitting near that phone answering for all the families, for people who are having surgeries. So I was sitting there, and my brothers in Islam knew that I was, you know, my grandfather was ill, and there was a Saudi brother, his name was Muhammad al-Atabi, sitting there, and the phone rings, and my aunt, she's the loudest one in our family. Phone rings, she grabs the phone. I didn't know the conversation. I'm just assuming what he told her was, "Is Harun there?" And then my aunt, Harun, is there a Harun here? Harun family? And I just I sink down in my chair. And then Muhammad, he tells, "Oh, wait, Carly, is Carly there?" And then my aunt's curious now. She's wondering. So I hear, "Huh? Carly? Islam? So Islam? Huh?" She does that and she passes the phone to me and I'm, "Yes, hello. Alaikum salam. Yeah, okay, I gotta go. Bye." So at that point, my whole family found out all at once. They all knew. And the response was, "Huh." You know, it was very simple.
What was the major change for you after becoming a Muslim?
So the Saleh Al-Ghamdi, he told me, he says, "Okay," he says, "You're Muslim now." He says, "I have a company. You're going to do good in Saudi Arabia. Come to Saudi and let's work." I moved there to Saudi Arabia. Immediately when I got there, Saleh had taken me to a place it's called Jubail, Saudi Arabia. It's Marcus de Jaliat Dawah Center. They educated me and I learned from some of the best people there.
Can you tell us about an unforgettable event that happened in the Dawah Center?
It was a prayer time and I was coming there to the Dawah Center. So you have in front of the masjid, there's a bathroom, and then right after there's a big open area, and then you can go inside the masjid, and then you have upstairs the Dawah Center and all. So I came walking up and there were 3 people standing there, 3 from India. I could tell they were Hindu from the gold rings that they were wearing, the gold necklaces. So I walked up and I said, "Do you need some help?" They pointed, they said, "Oh, this place is for Muslims only." And I told him, "No," I said, it's for anyone. Anyone can come inside. It's a Dawah center. You know, that's basically propagating the religion of Islam. And he says, no, it says Muslims only. And then I looked, and up on where the bathroom, it says Muslims only. And I said, "Oh, that's for the bathroom, and I don't even know why that's there. That shouldn't be there." I said, "You can come inside and see the place." He says, No, this is for Muslims only. We're not going in." So there was a bucket of water that was connected to the air conditioner catching the condensation to water the flowers. So I took that bucket of water and I dumped it in the flowers. I turned it upside down and I stood on top of it and I pulled that sign, Muslims only, off, and they thought like we're going to jail. We're all going to jail, we're done. And I was like, no, wait, don't run, come back, come please. I brought these 3 guys in the mosque, and they were terrified. You could just see the whites of their eyes. They were so scared to be inside there. And I said, okay, look, I said, we're fixing to pray. I said, y'all sit back here, watch what we do. Then I'm gonna be back, I'll talk to you. You know, after prayer, got there, got all my guys, all my Indians, Pakistanis and Filipinos. We all sat there in our circle. They were bringing books for them and everything in their language. We got to talking to them and telling them, you know, the basis of our religion. 2 of those brothers, they both embraced Islam on the spot. They prayed the next prayer. But the 3rd one, he was hesitant. And I felt from him, he was there. He knew what we were saying was true, but I felt there was something else holding him back. So about 2 days passed, and I went to his labor camp. And this labor camp is just a bunch of men living in a place, shared accommodations, shared bathrooms, not the best of living conditions. And I went there to him. He was in one room with probably about 5 or 6 other people. They were all Hindu. They were all looking at me, and I'm, talking about Islam and everything. And then they're all looking at him, and they're saying like, what are you doing? So at that point, I knew what was going on with him, is that he was afraid what they were going to say or what they were going to do. So we left that night, took him out to eat and everything, and then he took his shahada that night. But he said, I can't tell anyone. And the brothers around me at that time, they said, it's okay, no problem. You keep it in your heart until you feel that you're safe, that you can come out and you can tell people.
How did 9/11 affect your life, and what kind of difficulties have you experienced as an American Muslim at that time?
That was a very difficult time. I was out working. I was doing my job, and I had no idea that what was happening. I received a call on my cell phone. It was one of my brothers. His name's Rashid Al-Khatib. He called me. He said, "Are you okay?" And I told him, I said, I don't know why. And at that point, I started getting afraid. He told me, he says, "You don't know what happened." I told him, "No." I said, I don't know what happened. I said, "Please tell me quickly." He said, "Your country's been attacked. Is your family okay?" I told him, I said, "No." I said, "I don't know what's going on. What happened?" He says, "The World Towers have been attacked, and the Pentagon also has been attacked." And he says, "Where are you?" And I said, "I'm right here at this place." And he drove to me. It was a moment that, there was no sense in it. It was something that happened that was so atrocious that damaged us so greatly. And it was a moment that when he told me, he says, "Are you okay? And is your family okay?" It was terrifying. And then I started to think, like, all of the people, the children that were inside, there was a daycare center inside there for the people that worked there. After he took me home. He said, "You're staying with me for a few days." Because we had no idea what was happening. I received a phone call from my brother, and he said to me, he says, "What have you done?" And I said, "Wait, hold on a minute. What do you mean?" He says, "You've brought the most shame to our family than anything. What have you done?" And I said, "Jamie," I said, "Wait a second." I said, "Hold on." I said, "What's happened?" He says, "The FBI's here. They've come here and they're asking questions about you." And I said, "Okay." I said, "There's just rest assured, there's nothing, I've done nothing wrong." He says, "You run away from the United States and you ran to this terrorist group." I said, "Just please calm down." I said, "Give me the telephone number of the FBI agent. I'm going to call them and I'm going to get this straightened out." So what had happened is the FBI agent went to my grandfather that I spoke of earlier. When the FBI agent knocked on the door, hold up their badges to an old man like that with already a pre-existing condition, he had to go to the hospital. They had to rush him to the emergency room because he hit the floor. I got the number of this FBI agent. I called it up, and I was infuriated. I was so angry at that point. And I had got on the phone with him, and I said, "Yes." I said, "This is Carly Dodrell. I heard that you're looking for me." He says, "Oh, yes, Mr. Dodrell, where are you? We've been searching everywhere for you." And I told him, I said, "Well, you being the FBI, if you have any sense, you'll contact the consulate where I'm registered, and I'm living here in Saudi Arabia. I'm not hiding from anyone." He says, "Well, we need to talk to you. We've been searching for you, and we need to ask you some questions." And I said, "Okay." I said, "But first, if you go to another family member of mine, when I get back to the United States, I will find you. I will come to you where you are at in your office, and I will teach you a lesson you'll never forget." He said, do you understand you're threatening me? I said, yes, I understand that. I said, I am threatening you. I said, you will not go to another family member, friend, or anyone else that is related to me. He says, okay, well, we need to ask you some questions. So he starts asking about Al-Ghamdis, and he starts asking about all these people. I told him, I said, look, let's make a long story short. If any of my brothers are involved and were a part of this thing that happened, I said, I'm involved as well. He says, wait, he says, do you understand what you're saying? I said, yes, I understand very well. I said, we were students, we were workers, we were, sometimes we barely had money to get food that we wanted or, go out and do things. I said, there's no way that any of them could have had any part in this, what had happened. I said, furthermore, it's not even an act of Islam. It's an act of a terrorist, which is not what we are. If you just go and you follow the teachings and you read the Quran and you read the Sunnah of the Prophet, then you're going to know what this religion is. You cannot take this religion from what one person said or what one website said or what one preacher had published a book about. You need to go and look at it yourself and you will find the truth. But the only way that you're going to have the truth in your heart is asking God to bring it into your heart. You must go and submit yourself, open yourself up to God. If you believe in God, open yourself up and let Him show you the right way.
Is America a suitable place to live your religion for you and your family?
A country built on accepting everyone. It's an accepting country. However, the laws and the culture, just like you go anywhere, laws are going to state that, I have the right to practice whatever I want to practice. Culture is a little bit different. We're not really culturally accepted. I've had numerous issues with my children in school, and I've told some people that I'm Muslim, never spoke to them again. I've got friends that, they're in the church and they don't want anything to do with us, and I have lost friends because of that. I can't just go up to someone and tell them that I'm Muslim. We just have to be careful in the U.S., but it is a place of justice. You don't have to worry. You will always get the justice. You will always be, as far as the law is concerned, but socially, not so much.
If someone is curious about Islam, how should that person search about this religion?
So if you're interested in Islam, the first thing would be, you're going to look online, but for every one good website we have that's true, we have 1,000 that are built to mislead. And even among our own beliefs and our own religion, we have certain people that believe something completely separate from what our Quran and our Prophet teaches us. So I would say that going to the internet and then also finding someone that can help you, that you can ask questions that you trust. And, there are mosques everywhere. You can, find a mosque and find a good brother to help you out.
What is the quality of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ that impressed you the most?
It would have to be his humanity. The humanity of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is the example, and it is the example that we all aspire to be. He was so humble and kind to everyone. And if he was telling them something that they did wrong, it was still in a way that they wanted to hear it. They wanted to hear it. It was never, like we get on to our children. It was delivered in a way that people wanted to receive. And that's the way that I like to make dawah. When I make my dawah and I tell people about Islam, is I try to think about how would the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, approach this person. This is our belief. It's a belief of submission and peace to one God. It's to strive and to be more like Him is what we're all wanting to be.